Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy. I'm Kelly Bush.
I'm Kelly Metros.
And we are so excited to have you here with us today. Kelly, happy December.
Oh, fuck December. Sorry. Shouldn't start off the episode.
It's been a year. We are very excited for it almost to be over. And I am excited to talk to introduce our guests. We've got Meg Hartman from AltBar coming up. Unfortunately, Kelly wasn't able to be there. It's just me and Meg talking today, and Meg's going to talk about her new brick-and-mortar AltBar, which is Rochester's very first non-alcoholic bottle shop and bar. And it's perfect timing going into dry January, talking about the beginning of the year. And Kelly, we both really need a reset, not necessarily a non-alcoholic reset, but we need a reset because we have both been through the ringer this year. And
Speaking of that,
yeah, let's talk about it.
how's your back?
Oh, it's great. We're not sure what I've got going on. I definitely have some bruised muscles in my back. We're not sure if I lifted something weird or if it's just how horrible I walk now because I have a very broken ankle that's going to be getting surgery, or who knows what, but I have a disc bulge, possibly a herniated disc as well. And I've got medicine that I'm supposed to take for it that I can't take because it makes me too loopy while I work, which I told my doctor, and she said, well, but you're not supposed to be working.
I think we should do an entire episode about what to do as a small business owner when your doctor tells you shouldn't work.
Yeah.
You need to take time off.
Mm-hmm. Like, so what can I do while I'm working? Because it's not an option. Yeah. And she knows me. She's been my doctor for 15 years. So she's been with me since the very beginning, maybe even longer. So she knows that that's not an option. So when I first told her, or when we first met, I said, listen, it was last Thursday. So we had the Seabreeze Parade, which is our biggest night of the year. She's like, you cannot serve a drink. You cannot carry a plate of food. You can sit and talk like you. These are the things I know you're going to try to do. These are the things you cannot do. You cannot move your back in this way. So I tried. I failed hard. But the first week of January, I don't have anything to do. So I'm going to rest a lot.
I am actually leaving town. January 1st, I'm out.
I am so happy for you. I am so happy for you.
In our next episode, we can chat about all the things that have been going on this year with us. But I decided that I'm going to deal with life on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And the 1st through the 5th, I'm going to swoop up my family and we are going to hide.
I love that. I love it. I'm very proud of you for doing that.
It's hard.
You guys deserve it.
It's hard when you're like struggling financially in a really intense manner. Like trying
Wait, you're a small business owner. Aren't you a millionaire?
Well, yeah, because I own all these books. So you can tell I have
right.
thrift books, by the way. It's the best website.
Of course.
A lot of them have little stickers on them.
Yeah.
Anyways, taking that time for yourself when it costs money is a very difficult thing to do. So I try to, connect it with Christmas and make it part of the kids' Christmas gift. And that's what they get. They don't get crap. They get to go somewhere and just find
a memory.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more important to me that we have some days to ourselves and I already told my team and they said they're not even going to call me if the place burns down. They said, you'll find out when you get back. I said, yes, thank you. So because it'd be nothing.
Yes,
as somebody who's survived a fire before, like there's nothing I can do.
Right. Well, they can call me because I'm going away the second week of January, so they can call me.
And then your staff can call me. Look at that. Everybody.
Perfect. There we go.
Friends.
I love it. It's perfect.
But I'm so excited to share Meg's story. I think that her story has a lot of different aspects to it that are really interesting.
Absolutely. It's something for everybody. If you're sober curious, it's got something for you. If you're learning how to start a business, there are so many things she's had to learn along the way. So it's a wonderful episode. And I think a little bit of something for everyone. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Kelly,
And I'm Kelly.
the host of Getting Real with Bossy, the real, raw, and honest podcast about small business ownership. With our experience, 9 businesses and over 25 years, we continue to bear it all and share what we wish we had known.
We move past the must be nices and start getting real.
Leave with another tool for the next time you feel alone on this journey.
And today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping the hospitality industry and creating space for a more inclusive community. Unfortunately, Kelly Metris couldn't join us today, but we're still in for an incredible conversation with a very inspiring guest. I'm thrilled to welcome Meg Hartman, one of the visionary owners of AltBar, Rochester's first non-alcoholic bottle shop and bar. If you haven't heard of AltBar yet, you're in for a treat. Meg has taken the concept of social drinking and turned it on its head, creating a space that welcomes everyone, whether they're exploring a sober lifestyle, embracing moderation, or just looking to try something new. AltBar is much more than a bottle shop or bar. It's a community hub, a place where people can connect, celebrate, and feel included without the pressure of alcohol. With a carefully curated selection of non-alcoholic wines, beers, and craft cocktails, Meg and her team have not only filled a gap in the market, but also opened up conversation about how you can make social spaces more welcoming and accessible for all. They're redefining what it means to raise a glass and proving that you don't need alcohol to make a toast. Today, we'll hear about Meg's journey, how she and her husband built AltBar, the challenges and opportunities they faced along the way, and her vision for the future of the non-alcoholic beverage space. Whether you're a business owner, an advocate for inclusivity, or just someone who's curious about this growing movement, there's something in Meg's story for everyone. So grab your favorite drink, NA or otherwise, and join me for an inspiring conversation with Meg Hartman of AltBar. Welcome, Meg. So glad to have you.
Thank you. What a great intro. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh God. I'm so glad to have you here. Writing that was so fun. And I've known you for so long, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, joining our community.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to have you on for so long, and Kelly has too. And I know she's really, really upset that she couldn't be here today, but I know she's been a huge fan of yours and what you and Bob have been doing since the very beginning. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great to get to know you and Kelly over the last, how long ago did we connect? It's probably been 3 years because we started doing our pop-ups in December of 2021. So shortly after that, I think we connected.
Right.
So it's been you and Kelly. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for you and Kelly's advice and wisdom and knowledge throughout the last 3 years.
No, say more. Oh, well, let's start there. So where did this all begin? Start at the beginning. Tell us how AltBar began.
So 5 years ago, Bob quit drinking, and he realized he was drinking too much, and alcoholism runs in his family. His dad has been sober he quit drinking the day that Bob was born, actually, so almost 40 years. And then his grandfather drank until the day that he died. So when Bob noticed that he was drinking too much, he was like, okay, it's time. I'm not gonna mess with this. So he quit drinking. And that was September of 2019. So something happened in March of 2020.
Yeah, good timing there.
I always joked that he picked a hell of a time to quit drinking. But he quit, and we both we both are big foodies. We love going out to restaurants and supporting local places that have great food and drink programs. And we used to love going out to dinner and then getting drinks afterwards. Well, when he quit drinking, we would have dinner, and then we were like, what do we do? We went to get coffee a couple of times, but it's not quite the same sort of vibe as sitting in a bar and feeling glamorous. You're sitting at a coffee shop drinking a decaf latte because neither of us can drink caffeine past noon because we're old. And we both were just like, this is sad. I want to have a good night out. And we didn't have great choices. Obviously, places have come a long way in the last 5 years, and there are lots more good options in Rochester than there were. But at the time, it was like a Diet Coke. He was getting a Diet Coke. And we kept seeing across the country a couple of non-alcoholic bars popping up. Sands Bar in Austin, Texas was one of the first. And then there was Awake, I think it was called, in Denver. They're not around anymore. But we saw a couple and we kept thinking, man, it would be awesome if someone in Rochester did this, because Rochester is known for its food and beverage, for its hospitality scene, for the great restaurants that we have, the RCR, the Rochester Cocktail Revival. And we're really known for that. And we kept thinking, someone's got to do this. Like, this is, if anyone's going to do it in this area, it's going to be here in Rochester. No one did it. And we finally saw that Chris Marshall, who owns Sands Bar in Austin, was doing an online cohort-based class on how to get a non-alcoholic business up and running. And neither of us were industry. I was in marketing, I was a professor, and before that I ran web and social media for businesses. And Bob is in product development and strategy. So we thought, we'll try this class. The worst that happens is we spend a couple $100, we go through this program, and we've discovered, this isn't our thing. We're not going to do this. And we're out a couple $100. But then we'll have explored it, right? And we'll have figured it out. The best that happens is we go through this and we figure out how to make it work. And we start doing non-alc cocktail pop-ups. Well, as you can see, it worked. So the final sort of project for this program was doing pop-up, and Bob and I don't do anything half-assed. So we went all out. We rented space at Fuego. Tony and Renee, for like super cheap. Tony and Renee are friends of ours. So they probably, the time that they were there and helping us, I'm sure that they did not make anything. But they let us use their space for a night, and we sold tickets. And we sold out at 80 tickets for our first event. We had no idea what the hell we were doing. We actually got connected with Ralph DiTucci and Megan Goodney, who at the time were co-owners of Bar Mecca and Cristalino Ice. And now Ralph owns Grace and Disgrace. And Ralph and Megan taught us how to bartend because we didn't know what we were doing. So they walked us through, like, here's how you stir with a spoon. Here's how you shake. Here are the very basic things that you need to know if you're going to bartend. And it was a little bit embarrassing that we didn't know those things and we were starting a business based on those things. But also, we kept saying, like, we can't know everything. It's okay. It's great. And I'm still learning, right? Like, I don't know how to run a business. I'm still learning every day how to do things. So when Ralph and Megan were great. They became quick friends of ours because of helping us and like just connecting over our shared interest in having inclusive options places. And our first pop-up was great. Like I said, we sold out. Everyone showed up. It was winter. It was cold. It was dark. It was, and everyone was so happy to be there. There was a couple who said that they hadn't been to a bar in 30 years because they didn't drink anymore and they didn't want to go out to bars. It made them feel anxious, but coming to a pop-up felt like a safe thing for them to do. And that was the first time that Bob and I were like, oh, we might have something here. Like this really is something that people want and need. And then Bob got COVID, so we had to cancel our next pop-up. So we got all the great press from our first event. We were in City Newspaper, we were in the Democrat Chronicle, and then we had to cancel our next thing. And then by the end of January, a lot of demand had built up. So our next pop-up at Fuego, have you been in Fuego, that space? So it's a big space, right? So there was a line all the way to the back of the room in the bar and like along the sides of the wall of people waiting to get drinks. It was packed for we didn't sell tickets this time around. We wanted people to just be able to come.
Right.
And my parents came up. They lived down in Pittsburgh, but they came up to help. And my mom ended up coming behind the bar and helping with like dishes because we were just so overwhelmed with people. It was awesome. But also like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So that second pop-up was amazing. And then we started doing somewhat regular pop-ups every couple months. We have young kids. So right now they're 6 and 8, but when we first started, 3 years ago, they were 3 and 5. So we couldn't do a ton of pop-ups, and we always hired a bartender to do like the bulk of the bartending because we know that that's not our strength. So we would do the prep work and all of that. But that was cool because then we got to know other people in the industry. So we got connected with lots of really great people who would come and be guest bartenders for us. So that was really fun. And then after a year or so of doing pop-ups, Bob and I were exhausted. And we said, all right, this is the time where we say, this is fun. Let's pack it up. We're done. We can't do it anymore. Or we think about making this a full-time thing and like really going in. We ran the projections and we said, I think we can do this if we do both a bar and a bottle shop and we do like private events. I think we can make this work. We're not going to get rich, but we, for sure. No, I don't think anyone, if you're a small business owner in the restaurant industry, no one's getting rich, but we can at least like pay our staff, right? And we can make a somewhat of a living. And so we started looking and now we have a space. Now we're open. That was really long. I'm sorry. Did you fall?
That was not long at all. No. And we're going to go back a little bit because I think you skipped some very key points. You transitioned. So you did your pop-ups and then the bottle shop was the kind of the next transition.
Yeah. So we did pop-ups and then we started, because we had to buy wholesale to get product for our pop-ups, like we're buying a case of product at a time, but we're not using it because we're using maybe 2 bottles during a pop-up. We started selling as well. And no one in Rochester at that point, I think like Wegmans had maybe Old Jewels. Like they had a very sad section of NA options at that point. So we started selling too, and we did it through Grace and Disgrace. So people could order online and then pick up at Grace and Disgrace. And it wasn't like a ton, but it was enough that we're like, oh, people want this. And we would do bottle shop pop-ups where we would do samplings of things so people could try them, because a lot of times people buy stuff online and then they're terrible. And we've bought a lot of really bad NA wines that we've ended up having to dump down the drain because we salvage them. So we did that as well. And then when we started seeing, okay, and seeing in other cities, meanwhile, people were doing NA bottle shops. We went to a couple in Pittsburgh. Our friend, we are now friends. We've become friends through this. Mel owns the Open Road, and they are the best person. Mel has been super helpful. What I've like randomly messaged them and been like, how do you get this product? Or did this distributor, I guess I can swear, this distributor fuck you over? Yeah. How do we deal with this? And so Mel's been great. I remember the first time I walked into their shop, they were like above this tiny little coffee shop in Pittsburgh, and there were just like shelves, like rows and rows of product. And Bob and I were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like heaven for us. I can't wait until we can do this. And then in LA, there was one that we went to. We've been to a bunch at this point. Every city we go to. When we went to Paris this summer, we went to the non-alc bottle shop in Paris. Like this is our form of traveling. So it's been really cool to see the market just explode over especially the last 2 years. I think all of the product offerings, and now Wegmans is awesome. There's a huge section at Wegmans. Of course, we try not to carry things that Wegmans carries because their prices are usually better because they can buy in bulk further more than we can. But in my opinion, a rising tide lifts all boats, and the more non-alc can be in front of people, the better it is. Like I've had people say to me like, oh, Union Tavern is having all these non-alc options. Does that make you nervous? I'm like, no, that's amazing. Like, we've
been working together for years.
I know, right? Like, I think it's amazing when bars and restaurants add stuff because it's better for all. Flo over at Leonor's has been to our shop a couple of times to pick up stuff for her menu. And I think it's amazing. Every time she posts about having a mocktail or a non-alc cocktail or an option, I repost it. And I'm just like, everyone's like, because you want to support people who are making an intentional effort to be inclusive, I want to support them as much as I can. I think it's awesome.
Right. Well, and I think people don't realize, I hate to say trend. This isn't a trend. It's not a movement. This is a way of life. This is how people are living. And I don't want to bombard this podcast with a bunch of stats. I'll do that in the show notes. So please, if you're looking for that, go there. But I will throw a couple in. I mean, this is growing faster than alcohol. Yep. I mean, 93% of people buying non-alcoholic beverages, that's spirits, cocktails. I'm going to not say wines because we can talk about wines and how they're just not great. They're getting there. But 93% of people buying these non-alcoholic products are also buying alcoholic products. So it's not just this culture that is not drinking buying these things. So if this is mainstream, it's not this trendy thing. It's not a gimmick. This is just what people are purchasing. And just beer alone, which I really think beer has come the furthest. I mean, I was talking with Chris Clemens, who's a good friend of both of ours. He runs a great page called Non-Rockaholic. Definitely follow him on the socials. You know, with beer, it's a lot easier to go from, something that's 6% alcohol and bring that down and be able to mimic that flavor, going from, alcohol or wine to make that taste the same is a lot tougher. But we found some great beer stats that's growing at like quadruple the rate of actual beer. 2023, the craft beer by volume, Athletic Brewing was number 10. And they're a 100% all non-alcoholic brewer. Awesome. It's just insane how much this stuff is growing. It's not a trend at all. It's just a way of life. 69% of millennials and the young folk, this is what they're doing. They're not drinking. And they're zebra striping. They're drinking alcohol and non-alcoholic. They're going back and forth. And I love that.
I like that. I've never heard that term before.
I did not make that up. I'm learning as we go. Yeah, I have a customer. He is not a young man. He is a working man, and he used to drink a lot. And now every once in a while he will come in and he loves the Blue Moon non-alcoholic, and he'll drink that and he'll drink his Jack Fire. And I'm like, that is beautiful. So this summer you opened your physical brick and mortar.
Yep.
Incredible space. Absolutely beautiful. I love what you've done there. I've visited many times. I know you've spent some time really looking for the perfect space and you finally found it. How was the transition getting there? I know there's always obstacles. Are you happy where you're at? How did you know it was the right spot? Tell us a little bit about getting to your brick and mortar.
Whew, yeah, it was a journey. So, yeah, it took a while. The problem is that we needed to find a place where the rent was not outrageous. I mean, everyone wants that, right? But like, especially for us, because the margins for the bottle shop are low, and the margins on the cocktails are lower than a traditional bar because of how expensive the non-alc spirits are. So we knew that we didn't have a lot of leeway in our overhead. And not only did we need to have affordable rent, but we needed to have storage for all of our products. And so that was hard to find a place that had storage. And we wanted a good landlord, which I guess it's hard to find, which we discovered quickly. There were a couple of spaces that fell through. One we were really excited about on the corner of Park and Alexander, and they ended up giving it to the owner's sister or something to run a salon. So that was a bummer. We were really excited about that. But now I look back, of course, right? Like hindsight, I look back and think, you know what, that location wouldn't have been right for us because we would have had, it was like right by all the bars. And so at the time we were like, this is awesome because people can come in and like extend their night, but people they just want to go out and drink, right? They're not going to, I don't think it would have worked well for us. And the parking there was a nightmare. So we get customers who are stressed about parking, and we have plentiful street parking where we are versus like Park and Alexander is just, it's a whole thing. The older I get, the more grumpy I get about
absolutely.
No, I get it. I'm with them. And then, there was another place that we liked, but it just wasn't the right location. And so it just took a while. And eventually I found this place was listed on Facebook Marketplace of all places, and messaged the owner, and right away he messaged back and was like, "Oh, this sounds like a great business model." Oh, I forgot there was another space that we were really close. We had gone through the whole, they'd given us the lease. It was almost, we had very close to signing on the dotted line. And then the owner pulled out. This was on Richmond Street. The owner pulled out and was like, "You know what? I don't think it's a sustainable business. And I don't want to." And we were just like, "Well, fuck you.
Oh my God.
We're going to show you that we're a sustainable business. And then you're going to wish."
Hell yeah.
Anyways, I thought that, and that was the point after that one, because we'd been looking for a year when that fell through. And I just thought, you know what, if this doesn't fall through, maybe it's a sign. If this doesn't work, maybe it's a sign that we should just be done. Maybe we should give up. It's a sign. But after that fell through, instead of feeling like, okay, we're done, I was even more like, no, we need to find the right spot. I am this now. I felt in my gut that I was not done. And then the next space that we found was the right space. The owner said, "This sounds like a great business model." And so automatically, after having that experience of the previous owner, I was just like, "Oh, okay, good. Someone's sees me. They get it." And they had just bought the space. It needed lots of work. It was the back bathroom area was really gross, and he worked with us. They tore it all down and they put in new bathrooms. They tore down part of the wall. It was a blank. When we got it, it was a blank space. So I painted everything. I paid someone to do the ceiling because I wasn't going to mess with that. That's not something I could do. I would have lost my mind. But it took me 3 weeks to get the whole space. Maybe 4. I had to prime everything. It was drywall. It's 1,000 square feet. So it was a lot of painting. I primed, and then I had friends come in and help, which was super helpful. And one day I had people come in during the day, and then I had 2 of my good friends come in at night, and we got most of the space with the second coat of the paint on. And it took me 2 weeks to do the primer. So having help was really amazing. So I picked the light fixtures. We bought those. We had electricians install them. The build out cost, of course, was more than we thought it would be, but it's still, we DIY'd a lot. I painted everything. We 3D'd a lot of our stuff, and that helped a lot. We made the shelves that the product is on. My mom stained the wood. I stained we had to put in posts because the brackets weren't strong enough, and so then the wood, that was a whole thing. But anyways, my mom stained the wood. My dad and Bob installed the shelves. 3/4 of it was in brick, so they went through 2 masonry drill books. But those shelves are not going anywhere.
No, they're beautiful too. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you. So lots of DIY stuff because we just didn't have the budget. We didn't take out a loan. We wanted to avoid taking out a loan because we didn't know we didn't know what to expect, and so I didn't want to be pushed to having to pay back a loan that we weren't ready to pay back yet. So we used our savings, and we had money in the bank account from AltBar that we had saved from pop-ups throughout the couple of years. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. Yeah, so we got the space. But I, at the time, was teaching part-time. So I had gone down to a part-time contract the year before we opened. My contract ended June 30th or 31st, whatever the last day of June is. I should know this in my mind. But whatever the last day of June is, my contract ended. And we opened our bottle shop 5 days before my contract ended. So I thought for some reason, I thought that I was going to be able to teach and run a business. I was out of my mind. I woke up in April. We had finally gotten into the space, and I was working on everything and trying to coordinate the contractors and trying to coordinate I had to buy more gallons of paint. You never buy enough paint. You always, I have to go back. I went back, they knew me by name. We were at the Sherwin-Williams, and I woke up in the middle of the night in April and having a panic attack. And I've only had a panic attack maybe once or twice before, but I knew I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding. I felt like I was I was having a heart attack. I was dying. And when I woke up with that panic attack, I was like, okay, all right, I
Mhm.
can't do it all and I need to quit.
Nope.
I can't teach. I need to be done and I need to run my business because this is not worth it. My body cannot handle this stress. And on top of this, of course, I have like children, so I have to be a parent and a wife and all of the other things. So I loved teaching. I loved my students. I still miss them. I may go back someday, but
Yeah.
I also really love being a business owner and I didn't know that I would love it. And like I was really stressed. I'm like I'm a very anxious person. And so I got real anxious. Yeah.
Same. I mean, it comes with the territory. I think it's a prerequisite.
So I was real worried about how it was going to go. I mean, I still am, right? Every day here. Something. It's amazing to walk into your own space. I'm cleaning the bathrooms, but at least they're my bathrooms. I
Absolutely.
am like scrubbing down the bar mats, but at least they're my bar mats. And
That's right.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And like I get to close when we want to close. We closed on Halloween because we didn't want to make anyone be, and people with kids, like my staff members of mine have kids and we have kids, and we were just like, we're going to close because we can. And that's the cool thing about being a business owner is I can do what I want. So yeah, so that was a transition, but opening a shop, of course, is very different than doing pop-ups. I'm still the menu thing. I remember we had like a late summer, early fall sort of menu. And I was like, we probably need to switch to like a real fall menu. I was talking to one of my bartenders about it. And he was like, well, usually at this time people are thinking about their winter menu. I was like, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
That's okay. That's okay.
I had someone ask last week how often we're going to be switching out the menu. I was like, I don't know. We're going to find out. I don't know.
That is fine. You get a lot of grace in your first year. It's okay.
That's right.
But you know what? It's your menu. You can change it whenever you want.
That's right. Exactly. That's
we're 5.5 years in. I still change things whenever I want. Okay.
That's what you get, right? With
the
benefit of being
right.
So
yeah,
that was
no. There's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. But I will say I think the reason that we've been so successful this far, so successful as in like we're paying our bills, but like it's for me, it's Friday and Saturday nights are busy. They've definitely taken a bit of a dive since it got cold, but we're still doing well. But the reason that we've been successful so far, I think, are the people that we hired. We have an amazing team of bartenders. Great. We were specific when we put out the hiring. And they're all very part-time. I don't have anyone full-time. I'm not paying myself. I don't, someday I will get there. But our part-time people are awesome. And we said we needed experienced bartenders because that was not our strength. We knew how to do the books. We knew how to do the planning. I know how to market. I know, that was my whole career. But we really needed someone who knew what they were doing behind the bar. And our staff has been super amazing and helpful. And, I've been asking them like, how do you do this? What would you suggest? And they're all amazing. Actually, one of our bartenders, Sabine, was up for best bartender I saw that. It was really cool. I wish that there was a non-alcoholic category in City, but the fact that Sabine got nominated was super cool.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, it is. It is huge. And they are amazing bartender. Every time they make something, I drink it because it's awesome. I think you're only as successful. This is like a cliche, right? You're only as successful as the people who are around you and in part of your team. And that is true for us. Our team is awesome. They're just the best people. So that is how we haven't had any turnover. I'm like knocking on all of the wood.
I'm not for you.
I'm sure we will at some point, but.
Right, but that goes to who you guys are as leaders too. And part of that is recognizing what it is you do well. You don't have to know. Nobody knows everything. And that's part of why Bossy exists. You can't know everything about business. You do the thing that you know well. I don't cook and I own restaurants. Like that's not what I know how to do. I know how to do other things well. And that is what I'm successful at. And I hire people that know how to do the things that I don't know how to do well.
Yep.
So that is good that you're recognizing those things. And you did that very early on. So kudos to you. I'm very happy for you. I'm glad things are going well and you are doing something that's incredibly innovative, which is very brave. And I have to bring something up though, because it is very brave to do something innovative. And I know, as you know, we have a very big non-alcoholic program in our restaurant. And when we talk about it a lot, and sometimes the comments I get back from other people make me want to punch them in the face. And I can only imagine what it would be like if my entire business model was based on that. So not to bring up hard things, but I can't imagine what it was like in the media when you opened. And I hope that people were not horrific, but knowing some of the bullshit I've dealt with, how do you handle that? Because man, people are fucking ignorant.
They are. Yes.
And why people care what people do, especially it's a healthy thing. Like it's like they're doing something that's good for them. Why do you care? Is beyond my comprehension. But how did you? There had to be some nonsense, and how did you handle it?
Yes, yeah, there was so much nonsense. Did you see some?
There's moments when I'm like, I'm gonna get into it, and I'm gonna be but like I know that I'm just gonna be an asshole, so I'm gonna stay out of it because I don't have the capacity because I have to just defend my own business sometimes, and it's bonkers. I
think that my years in social media really have helped me with this, because if I was already used to like responding to people making really rude, ignorant comments when I ran social media at Roberts. And I've done a lot. I used to teach a social media class. And so I've done a lot of research into like best practices of dealing with trolls. And you don't feed the trolls, right?
Right.
So there were, when we got a lot of press when we opened, which was amazing. And I had a lot of people come into the bar saying, I read the article in the DNC, or I heard you on the radio, or I saw you on the news. And that was amazing. My friend Ryan helped me with the PR plan for that. Ryan Guglielmo, do you know Paul? Yeah. So she's done a lot of, and she owns Redbird out in Fairport. It's a cute little market. But when we had especially the DNC, there was a DNC article. I don't know. We had like hundreds of comments on that DNC article. And there were people who were like, oh, well, they won't even last 6 months. Or, can't wait to read about them. Can't wait to read about their business failing in a year or whatever. And like, I just ignore those comments, because in that point, it's less about me and more about them and who they are and what insecurities they have and what they're projecting. And if they are that angry about a business that doesn't affect them in any way, then there's no point in interacting with that. It's like when people talk about politics, right? Like, I'm not going to change someone's mind who is saying something that is rude. So I ignored those, but there were a couple of ones that I did respond to because I thought it was important to combat misinformation. So there were people who were like, well, why would you pay the same amount why would you pay for a non-alcoholic cocktail if it doesn't even have the booze in it? And a couple of those I responded to and said like, well, people actually don't want alcohol and they can't have it because they're on medication or they're in recovery or they're pregnant or whatever. And so they can't, but they still want the social experience. And, why would you tell someone that they can't be part of the community like that? And there were a lot of people who jumped in. This is the other thing that my social media training has taught me, is if you wait long enough, your community will jump in for you and they will back you up if they believe in you. And so I didn't respond to anything right away. I gave it like a couple of hours. And at that point, a lot of people had already jumped in and responded to some of these trolls. And they were, and were like speaking up either on our behalf or just as like I'm sober and I can't wait to have a space to go to like this, like
That's amazing.
And it was awesome. It was awesome to see all of the members of our community. There were multiple people who were customers of ours who jumped in to defend us or to just be like, hey, don't be an asshole. And that was really cool to see. And that was another thing that I think was really helpful for me to wait and to see. And then I did, there were some that I did respond to, but for the most part, it didn't really bother me. And I think it's because I'm just like, whatever. I don't really care. I think maybe part of it is age. The older I get, the less I care what other people think.
Right.
I do care, of course. Like, I want my customers to have an amazing time. And so, like, I had someone who just left a review. They gave us a 4-star review, and that really bothered me that I didn't get 5, like, because they said that they had to wait to get someone's attention, and someone made the drink differently or something. And I was just like, oh shit, like, I want them to have a 5-star experience. So that bothered me. But when people say stupid things,
right,
like, whatever, and so I just ignore them. Our customers are delightful, and our staff has all said that we have the best customers. They are just so happy to have drinks that are for them. They are so happy to have a space to come and not feel like they might accidentally get alcohol. They are happy that they don't have to deal with other drunk people at the bar. They are happy that they can bring their 18-year-old and hang out and have a good mother-daughter bonding time. Like, I just have the best customers. A guy threw a surprise 70th birthday party for his wife at our space, and she had heard about AltBar. She hadn't been there, and she didn't know where she was going. And when he brought her in, and I showed her the menu and said, everything on here is non-alcoholic. You can have anything. She used to be like she quit 10 months ago. She used to be a big, like, bar person. She used to love going to bars. And so when I gave her the menu and said, you can have anything, she teared up. I started crying. Oh. My bartender started crying. Like, it was just this beautiful moment of just like there's a place for me, And so those are the moments that I think about when I have idiot people coming in and just like, you know what? I'm not for you. I'm not trying to be for you. I'm not trying to be for everyone. Someone asked me, have we ever thought about serving alcohol in addition to the non-alcoholic drinks? And I was just like, no, you can get alcohol everywhere. Every fucking bar on this street has alcohol. We do not need alcohol. Well, no. So you can include more people. No, I am not for them.
It's ridiculous.
It's wild. And so I just remind myself I am not for everyone, and that's okay.
That's right. That's okay. Oh, well, we can learn so much from you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you forever, but okay, so we've got an amazing month coming up, and I want to talk about 2 more things. I want to talk about all the great things that you are doing and the future of AltBar, and I want to talk about January because although I feel like it's not even January now because we've got Dry January, Sober October, and all the other things that we're celebrating with being sober now. But let's talk about Dry January a little bit, and then I want to talk about all the cool things that you're doing and the activities and events and the private events and how we can support you. So.
Thanks. Yeah. So Dry January is coming up. It's funny. One of my bartenders, we were talking about how, like, we're expecting retail sales to ramp up as we're hitting the holidays. Right. And that's what I've seen so far. We were talking about this maybe a month ago before it got to be the holidays, and we were saying, like, retail sales are going to ramp up. And then he was like, yeah, and then January it's going to be dead. And I looked at him and I was like, no, not here. Not here. It's not going to be dead. And then he was like, oh, you're right. I said, yeah.
Your bar is going to thrive.
Right? Like, he was like, yeah, most hospitality, January is going to be quiet. Is that true for you? You see too? Yeah. And I was just like, I'm hoping that January is our best month of the year. Like that, that is what my goal is to make it the best. Because everyone does Dry January now. It's definitely every year there's more and more people who do it. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know what, the spring months, I don't know, February is probably me. Is it quiet? I assume it's like going to be dead.
Yeah, it's usually pretty quiet.
Yeah. But I am hoping for a great Dry January. I have friends. I'm in a Slack group with other non-alc bar and business owner. And they have all said that January is usually their best month, even better than like Christmas And
Wow.
Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving was bonkers for us. It was awesome. So I'm hoping that will be the same. We're going to open New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. We're not usually open on Tuesdays, but we're going to open for that.
Great.
And I'm hoping January is even better. So I'm going to do a lot of, every weekend I'm going to do some kind of like featured tasting for people.
Nice.
So, you know, they can try. We always, whatever we have open from our bar, I'm happy to pour samples, which is not a thing that bars usually do. I feel like I have to like, I don't want to remind people of that when they're our customers, but I also want to be like, you can't just go to a bar and be like, can I try a taste of that gin? Like you can't usually, you can't do that. But we do that because people need to try some of those things.
Right.
So we'll have featured tastings in January, and we'll probably have a couple of events. I am working on maybe like a queer sober friending sort of event, because that I have lots of customers who are part of that community, and they've said like it's really hard to find sober events. And
great.
so I'm excited about that. And you know, just a couple of other, we're working on some fun things. So, and we also always have trivia night, Wednesday nights.
Very cool.
We're taking a hiatus for Christmas and New Year's, but then we'll be back. Like at Marshall, we use the same person that.
She's amazing. We love Nicole.
She's the best. I'm so glad that we connected with her. And she's just so fun. And it's a great trivia. It's a Wednesday. It's just like an hour long thing. So it's great because then people don't feel like they're committed to like a whole night. And we get regulars. It's really fun. Every week we're always like, oh, hey, you know, and they have the same. It's fun. So.
And people can rent the space out for private events too?
Yes. Yeah. So I actually have 3 private events in these last 2 weeks. Last Tuesday we had a chocolate from Laughing Gull and non-alcoholic pairing, which was people really liked that. That was really fun. And then this week we had a private event, and then Rochester Education Foundation is doing some kind of event for their, I don't know, maybe mentors, I think, like a thank you sort of holiday sort of event. So people can rent out on the days that we're not open. And it's like a very minimal, it's like basically just so we can pay our bartenders, very minimal fee.
Right.
And then during the week, the days that we are open, people can rent out the space, but they need to meet the minimum that we have for the space. So like in January, East House, which is an addiction and recovery organization, is renting out our space on a Thursday night to thank all of their donors. And they were like, they've had events where they have like alcohol, and they're like, this feels weird to like have alcohol for an addiction and recovering center. So they're holding their event at AltBar, which I think is awesome because it continues to like, you know, give people alternatives, even though it's not for their cut. It's for their donors, but still it shows their donors like, hey, look at all of these non-alc options out there. So yeah, lots of private events. I'm hoping that as the like bridal shower season starts coming, we'll have some of those, maybe some baby showers. I'm still working on like how to get out in front of people for these events. All these people have come to us and asked if we've done private events. So I haven't done any like real, hey, we're doing that. But after January, once I have some more time, my plan is to do that. Yeah. The other thing about Dry January, Kelly, that I'm so excited about is going to the Mindful Drinking Fest with you.
I know, I'm very excited.
That's going to be very fun.
Absolutely. Very excited for that. Another thing too, I know that we did 3 dry weddings, sober weddings this year. So I'm assuming that's something you would be able to do if people are doing weddings this wedding season. That would be something you would be able to either help coordinate, consult, or even bartend for them.
Yes, absolutely. We can do all of those things. And we actually, this past year, 2 of our regulars got married, and I mean, they didn't meet through us. They just, you know, come often. Noah and Sam, they're the best. And they used Pete from Handlebar Catering. Pete, he's great. And they ended up buying their spirits through us because I knew which ones were the best. And they already were like, you know, we come here and get drinks. These are the spirits that we like. This is what we want to have at our wedding. So that's another thing, is like, we're happy to just provide the non-alc spirits for whoever else is bartending the event as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I think Kelly and I will stop by and we'll have a couple drinks and do some little recordings and connect and catch up. We're really excited for you and happy for you and Bob, and can't wait to see how AltBar continues to grow and your continued success. And we're happy for you and glad that you are the first, because you're doing it right. And we're happy to see so many other bars and restaurants taking notice of what you're doing and the way that you're supporting them. It's just going to continue to grow because it needs to, and it's time. Yes. And Rochester's a little behind, and I think it's a little surprising that we're not a little further along, but it's nice to see it growing, and it's encouraging to see more mocktail and free-spirited, as we call it, or non-alcoholic cocktail menus start popping up other places. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. I think we have everybody ready for Dry January. Everybody knows where to go get their stuff. Go to AltBar. You can get stuff online too. You can reach out to all of us. Kelly's got some great non-alc options. I've got great non-alc options. Meg's got great non-alc options. We'll all be happy to share what we've got going on. There's some really wonderful products out there. It's amazing what's happening in that world. And I'm going to reiterate some of the things we talked about. 93% of people buying non-alcoholic products are also buying alcoholic products. That means this is mainstream. This is not just something that a limited community is doing. Everybody is participating in this program. So people need to realize this is not a trend. It's not a fad. It's not a gimmick. It's a wonderful, wonderful product that's out there. And I'm excited to see it taking off. I'm excited to see Rochester finally catching on.
I want to backtrack, though. I do not have amazing non-alcoholic selections. I have a basic non-alcoholic selection.
But that's amazing for Rochester. Quite honestly, the fact that you're taking note and doing things about it, I think it's pretty incredible.
It's because of Meg. I met her at a Bossy event and saw what she was doing and listened to what she had to say. And I was like, wow, there's probably a lot of people like you. And that's our job, is to try to reach everyone and make everyone feel comfortable. So, I started with just buying some non-alcoholic tequila and adding that. And so we just have the basics. And then we have a bunch of non-alcoholic beers, which I've learned so much from you on the non-alcoholic beer side. So we've got some great products there. It used to just be non-alcoholic Dos Equis. That's all we had.
Right.
So there are multiple options now. And then I have, I think, one of each of the liquors. So you can get any basic drink non-alcoholic. But it's all because I met Meg.
Yeah. Amazing. She's changing the non-alcoholic world in this community. And I think she's going to go far. I'm really excited to see her journey, her and Bob.
Ooh.
Exciting.
Can we do a quick blurb about your love of the word mocktail?
Oh, I hate it. Oh my God, I hate it. I hate it. And I understand. And the more I talk about how much I hate it, the more I understand where it comes from and why it is important and why it's used. I understand. But it's the word mock. Why are we making fun of something that is the drinks that we craft, and especially for the Union Tavern more so than even Marshall Street, but Marshall Street's really stepping up their game too. We put as much craft and care into the cocktails that we're creating as we do the ones that carry alcohol. Why, the word mock, I'm no. This is nothing to joke about. These are incredibly delicious, and a lot of care has gone into these. So I just hate it. So I always encourage people. I talk to a lot of bar and restaurant owners that are starting on this journey. And I always say, be creative, come up with your own branding for this, because it goes a long way and people really enjoy that. And I think it resonates with this community a lot.
I think so too.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, another great episode.
Absolutely.
We end out 2024.
And stay tuned for our next episode when Kelly and I talk about our hopes and dreams for 2025.
New year, new me.
Oh,
No, same me.
Yeah, same Same. New year, same us. All right, Kelly, it's been a great year with you, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yes. Be brave.
Be bold.
Be the boss.
Be the boss.